You're not going to believe what's happening in Canada right now. A quiet battle, one that's been brewing for years, is finally erupting into the open. And at the center of it all, Alberta. Just days ago, Premier Danielle Smith made an announcement that sent shockwaves all the way to Ottawa. Her government has unveiled what she's calling the Alberta Firearms Freedom Act. According to early reports, it's designed to protect law-abiding gun owners from federal overreach. But the implications go far beyond that. Because this isn't just about guns anymore. This is about power. About who really controls the rights of Canadians. Now, while Alberta moves to expand gun rights, Ottawa, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, is moving in the opposite direction. Carney's government has quietly pushed forward with new firearm regulations that critics say could essentially criminalize thousands of gun owners overnight. And the timing? Suspiciously perfect. Ottawa's restrictions came out just hours before Alberta's freedom legislation was tabled. Coincidence? Many Albertans don't think so. Behind closed doors, there are whispers that this might be the most serious standoff between a province and the federal government in decades. And for some, it's bringing back memories of the 1980s National Energy Program, when Ottawa's policies drove a deep wedge between Alberta and the rest of Canada. Only this time, it's not about oil. It's about freedom. Let's start with what Alberta just did. Under Smith's new bill, provincial authorities, not federal agents, would be responsible for enforcing firearm laws within the province. That means if Ottawa bans a certain type of rifle or restricts magazine capacity, Alberta could theoretically refuse to enforce it. And according to leaked documents circulating among provincial officials, that's exactly what they're preparing to do. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Sources close to the Alberta cabinet say they've already begun setting up a new provincial firearms bureau, something Ottawa didn't see coming. The bureau's mission? To oversee licensing, safety training, and enforcement independently from the RCMP. If true, that would be a massive shift in authority, one that Ottawa might interpret as unconstitutional. But Ottawa isn't sitting quietly. In response, the Carney government reportedly drafted an emergency order to reassert federal control over all firearm regulations. Insiders claim that a confidential memo circulated among Liberal MPs warned that Alberta's move threatens national unity and undermines public safety. Publicly, Carney's office insists this is about keeping Canadians safe. Privately, some MPs are worried this could spark something much bigger, a domino effect across the provinces. And it might already be happening. In Saskatchewan, Premier Scott Moe is said to be watching Alberta's model closely. Even Manitoba's new leadership has expressed concerns about Ottawa's heavy hand. If more provinces align with Alberta, Ottawa could find itself facing a full-scale constitutional challenge. Now, here's where the story takes a darker turn. According to a leaked RCMP internal communication, which hasn't been verified but is spreading rapidly online, federal law enforcement is preparing contingency plans for provinces that refuse to cooperate with new firearm mandates. Some have interpreted that as a potential plan to bypass provincial authorities entirely. If that's true, we're entering uncharted territory. Meanwhile, Ottawa Premier Doug Ford, who has been caught in the middle of this federal-provincial storm, made a surprising move of his own. Ford's office released a carefully worded statement saying Ontario stands with law enforcement and common-sense safety measures. But behind the scenes, several Ontario MPs are reportedly frustrated with the Carney government's hardline approach. One unnamed official even told a Toronto columnist this could turn Alberta's defiance into a movement. Now, let's talk about the numbers, because they tell their own story. In Alberta, firearm ownership has surged by nearly 20% in the past 5 years. And after Ottawa's latest round of regulations, gun shops across the province reported record sales. One store owner in Red Deer claimed his entire inventory was gone within 2 days. When asked why, he said simply, "People don't trust Ottawa anymore." That distrust isn't limited to Alberta. Polls show that support for federal gun restrictions is falling nationwide, even in provinces that usually lean liberal. And yet, Ottawa is doubling down, introducing new restrictions on ammunition imports and even proposing mandatory registration for certain hunting rifles. Critics argue this is an ideological fight disguised as public safety policy. And Alberta is calling Ottawa's bluff. Now, here's where the tension reaches its breaking point. According to multiple insider sources, Alberta's Justice Minister has drafted a confidential letter addressed directly to Prime Minister Carney, warning that if Ottawa continues its unilateral actions, Alberta will invoke its Sovereignty Act to block federal enforcement. That letter, which has not been made public, is said to contain a single, chilling line. Alberta will not be disarmed. If that's true, it would be one of the most defiant statements made by a Canadian province in modern history. And it raises serious questions. What happens if Alberta refuses to enforce federal law? Can Ottawa intervene? Can the RCMP override provincial authority? No one seems to have a clear answer. Meanwhile, in Parliament, opposition MPs are seizing on the chaos. Conservative and Bloc Québécois members are accusing the Carney government of provoking another Western alienation crisis. One MP even suggested that Alberta's actions are a direct result of Ottawa's arrogance. Carney, for his part, insists that Canada's laws must be consistent from coast to coast. But that message isn't landing well in the West. And the tension isn't just political anymore, it's cultural. In Calgary and Edmonton, rallies are being organized under slogans like "Hands off our rights" and "Ottawa doesn't speak for Alberta." Thousands are expected to attend in the coming days. Some protest organizers even claim that local law enforcement officers have privately expressed sympathy for their cause. If true, that could mark a dangerous turning point when enforcement and loyalty begin to fracture. Now, to be clear, none of this has been confirmed officially. Ottawa denies that any crisis exists. But when federal ministers start warning about domestic threats and the dangers of populism, you can feel that something deeper is at play. This isn't just another policy dispute, it's a clash over identity, over who decides what freedom means in modern Canada. And if Alberta holds its ground and other provinces follow, we could be witnessing the birth of a new constitutional confrontation that redefines Canada's federation. It's a story that's only just beginning. But one thing's for sure. The freedom fight between Alberta and Ottawa isn't going away anytime soon. So as the headlines grow louder and both sides dig in, the question remains, how far will Alberta go to defend its version of freedom? And how far will Ottawa go to stop them? Stay tuned. Because the next move in this political chess game could change Canada forever.